Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of February. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barry, straight from the night shift. How goes it, Joshua?
I feel like a Twitch live streamer or something like that, Derek, living my life online. Surely no one needs more of us after last night, Go watch that, really guys. I'm fine. Bit tired, mate. Busy day, and busy month for Rangers. That was, as we said yesterday, 17 transfers since the start of the window in the summer. A couple of managerial hunts, the CEO and sporting director. So it is, quite literally never quiet at Rangers. So I hope it'll be a quiet few days, but I've learned better than predicting that. Put it that way.
Yeah, it was a busy old one yesterday. Thank you, incidentally, to we had at one point over 6,000 of you tuning into the show last night, which was fantastic. I don't think we've had numbers like that before. I may be wrong. We've had huge numbers before on shows, but it was very well attended. So thank you for your interaction last night. And a big thanks to the Blue Yonder who gets in touch, and he's very kindly donated 200 Thai baht. So thank you for that, sir. That is very kind of you. Brian Naderi coming in. He was the fourth arrival in this January transfer window. Rangers getting that deal over the line. We're going to get stuck into that and how the squad looks right now, whether it's capable of going on and winning the title. But before we do that, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust and proud partners of the Rangers Review. If you're needing the new fence, then these are the guys to call. They've got over 20 years of experience in the fencing trade. No job is too big or too small. You get 10% off with the code Rangers Review, and you get free consultations as well. Head on over to willows-fencing.com. Right, it's press conference time, actually, incidentally, yes. at this point as well. Danny Rohl is speaking, hopefully, to Blair at this point, if he's not slept in. No, Blair is there as we speak. So it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on Ryan Naderi and whatever player Rangers put up for the press as well. Do we know who the player is at this point, Joshua?
No, but we like to play kind of player roulette, depending on the circumstance and the time. I wondered if it would be Naderi, but given he was there so late last night and was starring in his own little announcement video, which I actually thought was, I think some of these announcement videos, did you see the Scott Parker clip yesterday?
Dearie me, what was that all about? What was that?
Burnley have been quite good. Go and watch it if you haven't. Burnley have been quite good with their announcement videos, and I thought they were about to announce a signing, right? But similarly, a lot of these signing videos, I think they're a bit overdone. I did actually enjoy that one. So I don't know if it'll be Naderi because he obviously has had a busy day. I'm going to say, who are Rangers playing tomorrow? Kilmarnock at home.
Kilmarnock at home, yeah.
Who are you guessing? People in the comments can
I don't think they'll stick. I might be wrong. They might stick Naderi up, but I would be giving the big lad. He had quite a day yesterday, so I'd be giving him a bit of a lie-in. Two Romans, maybe?
Yeah, hasn't played, but it is around the time where he should be playing. We were told when he joined it was 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe Romans. I think they'll keep maybe Butland for next week, Tavernier for next week. Yeah, we'll see. But yes, Blair's at that press conference, so we'll bring you any kind of news lines, injury lines live as we get them.
We absolutely will. I did like Burnley's, the player they announced, and they'd done the sort of Pulp Fiction scene, which was incredible stuff. They had Kyle Walker in the corner as well. It was just magnificent. It really was. But fair play to the Rangers media team last night. A little nod perhaps towards Chris Jack as well with the cloak. Great to get that one over the line. Incidentally, speaking on the Rangers website, Naderi said, "I'm really pleased that this move has happened. Now I'm here. I plan to make the most of this opportunity. Rangers are a world-renowned club who have a history of winning silverware, and that's what I am here to achieve. I am looking forward to meeting my new teammates, all of the staff and the supporters in the days and weeks ahead. I am ready to get started and hope I have a positive impact on the team for the rest of the season." Now, Danny Rohl says, "I'm delighted to add Ryan to the squad. He's still young in terms of his playing career, but he's shown in Germany that he knows the way to goal, as well as contributing with a number of assists due to his high level of skill. He is someone who has a lot of potential. and I believe we can take his game to the next level. We'll help him adapt to his new surrounding. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in a Rangers shirt. So there you go. I think we'll see him tomorrow.
Maybe he was at Kilmarnock at home. I think, Derek, that's probably the type of game you need him in. We've got a piece on the website that's given a little bit more context to the move, and it was put to me by one source yesterday that it was pretty close to the wire to getting it over the line. Rangers had agreed the deal, so it's 5.5 million euros in the end. And I don't think enough people are speaking about the fact that, especially for someone of my generation, the money that Rangers are spending is just insane this season. If you think of the summer window and January as well. Again, I go back to that Steven Gerrard interview with Ali McCoy, where he was speaking about the gentleman's agreement that was broken when he left, over £6 million. And you think of Rangers' willingness to go from 3.5, admittedly in euros, to 5.5 yesterday. It shows how much money they are putting towards this title race. Naderi on Sunday night, that deal had been agreed with the player and the club to bring him into the summer for 3.5 million euros. And as we kind of discussed at length yesterday, the Archer deal just hinged on so many different factors. Our understanding is that had been ongoing in the background for about a month. Talks to bring him in on loan, and Rangers were trying to sort of, I guess, hold two different deals in two hands at the same time in case one of them fell through. And there was also a debate internally about, do you want to go and get someone like Naderi, who is he absolutely ready to fire Rangers to a title? I think that's a big ask. Rangers will say, well, he's one of three strikers and he's a different profile. But there was this debate about, well, should we go and get more of a ready now striker and then get this player in the summer? Because, as we discussed in the video last night, maybe he's the type of profile that if you don't invest in him now, he might go out of your price range. It's a very expensive striker market. You see that with Strand Larsen going for 48 million after scoring one goal in the Premier League this season. But it went up to 5.5. It's been put to us that €2 million jump is basically the compensation for getting him now instead of in the summer. Rangers, I think, to be fair to them, they could have just recalled Danilo from the Netherlands. He was out there yesterday. They could have just recalled him and saved on that money, but they wanted to refresh the forward line. So is that squad absolutely complete? Is there no issues? No, because we saw that on Sunday. But I don't think you can fault the willingness of Andrew Kavanagh and others to invest. And now it's up to Danny Rohl and these players to get Rangers over the line, because the money spent is significant since the summer. We're going to bring the squad depth up in a minute. Yes, there's still question marks, but there's also a lot of players that have arrived since the summer, and Naderi caps that off yesterday.
Yes, big thank you to Nancy Lyons, who's kindly donated £2 to the channel. Thank you, Nancy. It is subject, of course, Naderi, to international clearance. The Rangers need to get that ratified before he can play. So let's hope that the folk in the office, whoever deals with that, are on the ball this morning. We can ramp that up and get him in a Rangers jersey as soon as possible. But yeah, big statement of intent, record signings we touched on there for that division. I'm intrigued to see what he's all about, whether he can make the step up and play for a club like Rangers. Of course, the demands and all that is required in between as well. It's just a young kid. It's asking a lot, but we said it last night, Rangers need someone to come in and score goals immediately, because the forward line isn't doing that enough. So I think this is pivotal. If they can hit the ground running, Rangers give themselves a chance of winning the title. But no pressure on the young lad, Joshua.
I know. And on the point of his profile, I think he's a bit more, he should be, and we don't know how it will, as any transfer, you don't know how it will work. This isn't what clubs will do a lot now, is they're able to benchmark the quality of their league against leagues they're recruiting from, and they're able to benchmark, like physical benchmark. So there is a little bit more, I'd imagine, scalability internally of how they think he will perform. He's clearly not the finished package, and that's clearly why there was this talk initially over, okay, let's get him in on the summer for 3.5 million euros. I'm not going to say I've watched a ton of Hansa Rostock, but I've watched a little bit of them in the recent days. And what stands out about Naderi is he's someone who's probably going to be better at getting into the box and he's probably someone who is a little bit more natural with his back to goal. And if you look now at the striking profiles, again, a lot of money's been spent there. If you think of a deal rising to 4.2 million on Bojan Miovski and probably rising to 10 million on Yusuf Chumiti, Miovski's someone who wants to play in the last line. I think his runs often haven't been found this season, but he struggles when he's playing with his back to goal. I think Chumiti is obviously more of an occupier of defences, and he puts it together in moments, but he's not the finished package. And I think you saw the limitations sometimes of his game with his back to goal against Hibs, where he didn't really get Rangers up the pitch. I think what they're hoping with Naderi is another big physical guy, 6'4", a different profile to those two, and someone who should, I think he's got 5 assists this season. He should be a little bit better at bringing others into play. Because yes, Rangers' issues is goals, Derek, but their issue is also, I think, too often they've not got the ability to go back to front quickly. And too often they've not got the ability for a striker to take them up the park, which I don't think either Chumiti's better than Miovski, but I still don't think he's brilliant at that yet. So yes, they're investing in Naderi, but it's easy to forget he's also older than Yusuf Chumiti, and the kind of weight of the world has been put on his shoulders this season. So I think it's on the three of them to contribute, because Rangers haven't scored enough open play goals.
Nope.
We spoke about it at length after the Hibs game. I think part of it is just the cause of how they're playing, and it's not that black and white. But undoubtedly, if they're going to win the title, then they're going to need more of what Mikey Moore gave you from the bench on Sunday, which is a willingness of individuals to say, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take this game on my shoulders. I don't think we've seen enough of that. And Rangers will hope that Ryan Naderi can basically contribute more now between the end of the season than Danilo was going to if he'd stayed at the club.
Yep. Blair is at that press conference for us. This is Ryan Naderi has been brought up, obviously, and Daniel says he's very happy that he's at Rangers after a long process. Says he's a good header, good physicality, and good pressing. He needs some minutes to adapt to a new league. He says, I'm positive about the window. Says when I was talking to him, I felt the fire. Says the striker is used to playing in front of big crowds at Hansa Rostock. When he was asked if he's ready to deal with the Rangers pressure, and also believes he has the option to play with 2 up front. So that would be interesting to see if we see that too. Chermiti and Naderi up top, perhaps. That would be quite something. A handful for opposition defences. Usually it's a big man, little man up top, but big man is quite something. You don't normally see that in modern football. I don't think I have seen any team playing big man up top, Joshua.
I wouldn't put it past Rangers, because they are really going kind of physical FC. And I keep making this comparison to Leeds, and it's come up in quite a lot of conversations that you look at what they've done since getting up to the Premier League, and Calvert-Lewin and Okafor up top and others. I think it's Okafor, but they've really beefed up compared to the team that Daniel Farke played in the Championship. So yeah, I think Rangers are leaning in to their strength as opposed to try to bring a load of diversity. They didn't get that dictating number 6 profile. It's going to be a continuation of Chukwani and Raskin and Diamande and Barron kind of splitting responsibility. And I think it's probably not until the summer that we'll see a little bit more control and possession from Danny Rohl's team. And Naderi plays into that, definitely. But I'd be interested to see how that works with 2 up top who get sacrificed. Tello Asgard's obviously played off the striker quite a lot as of late, but we've seen with Rohl so far that he will change things, won't he? He will be flexible. And I think another aspect that we've not seen enough of from the Rangers strikers, and it stood out to me when, the moment where Skov Olsen hooks the ball back at the back post on Sunday and there's just no one there. I do feel like Chumiti's on his heels a little bit too often in the box. I don't feel he's getting across the front post. So we'll see if Naderi can do that. But as you say, there is a lot of pressure on him because of the nature of this deal, and there will be pressure from the start because he's not coming into a club in the summer where he can bed in. He's coming into a club who have 3 must-win league fixtures in the space of a fortnight. Yep.
He also mentioned, of course, there was an out yesterday confirmed. Joe Rothwell had departed for Sheffield United on a permanent deal for an undisclosed fee. And Chris with an update on Rabbi Matondo last night, saying Rangers in talks with Rabbi. that will see the winger leave Ibrox 6 months before the expiry of his contract. Further discussions being held today on that. Now, Danny Rohl's been asked about Matondo. He says there are still markets open in other countries. We'll see what happens in the coming days. He's a positive guy around the group. So there you go. Said it last night, just an utterly disastrous signing. There's no two ways about it, unfortunately. Thanks for the goal against Celtic, and that's it. That is a very costly one, given his output over his time at the club. Right, this is probably a good time to bring up the squad chart, Joshua, that you've spent a great deal of time formulating. So here we go. Bada bing, bada boom.
Hopefully people don't shout at me if I forgot anyone, because Ridden Maguire's off the bottom of the screen. But I've not been able to cast this job off to anyone else. I've done it bleary-eyed this morning. But yeah, new signings in yellow. I've not put Rabbi Matondo in there, Derek. I've not put Danilo in there, because our expectation is that certainly Danilo will be going back to the Netherlands today, and as Chris broke last night, these discussions are ongoing with Rabbi Matondo. But where do you want to start?
Well, don't we don't need to touch on the goalies. Rangers well stacked there, of course. That's not an issue of concern at this point. Actually, somebody asked a question last night when Johnny was on about the defence. Well, not the defence. I brought it up about what the sort of summer priorities would be transfer-wise, and given the business that's been done, you can see Rangers needed a left back. They brought in a left back. But they're going to have to address the defence in the summer, because that defence that you can see on your screen will look very different, I'd imagine, next season, with the number of players, of course, to have out a contract, players going back to their parent clubs that are on loan. But for the here and now, it's a defence that Danny Rohl has got playing reasonably well, you've got to say, keeping a good number of clean sheets. That was, I guess, one of the positives, I guess, from the weekend, back to clean sheet duty. I don't really have too many concerns about that at this point. Good that John Souttar's back fit again. Is that a concern for you, the defence? It isn't for me at this point, Joshua. I've got to say it's more to do with the forward line.
I've been so impressed with Manny Fernandez recently, and we've probably not spoken about him enough, just because there's been so much else going on, and he's not the complete finished article. But for someone who, I remember when he played that game against St Mirren under Russell Martin, and he was facing the wrong way for the goal that St Mirren scored, where in terms of being turned to the outside of the pitch instead of the inside. You watch him now and you think he's just got so much to his game. He's got such a composure. He's pretty quick. His size is such an obvious benefit to playing in the Scottish leagues, but also on the ball, I think he's really good as well, and he can miss players out. So I think that is a signing that's obviously taken a relatively long time to work. But now you're looking at him and going, Rangers are absolutely fine in that left centre back position until he's bought for money, which he will be. Of that, I have no doubt. Derek Cornelius, we expect back this month. I don't expect Rangers to take up the option. I think it was already a short-term deal, or likely to be a short-term deal, rather than taking up the option to buy before his injury. I also think that he's maybe a little bit less suited to playing under Rohl because of the running intensity that he will ideally want from his centre-backs. I think John Souttar's been in good form, and I think Giga, actually, for the last wee while since he came back from AFCON, has as well. He's been involved in a lot of clean sheets. He's kind of scarred by that early season brush, isn't he? But I think he's done well to come back into reasonable form. Right back, I think you rotate Tavernier and Sterling. As we spoke about yesterday, I thought the big mistake from Rohl at the weekend, if we're to be critical, was not bringing on James Tavernier instead of Max Aarons when you needed a winner. But yeah, if you were to ask me how many of those players I expect to be at Rangers in the defence in summer, I would say Souttar, Sterling, Fernandez, and Romans, and that would be it. That would be it at this moment in time. So yeah, a lot of change is going to happen there. I think Magoma as well actually has done so well in the really difficult circumstances. 19 years old, 2 managers, a club in crisis at points, having to play almost every minute, and I think he's done really well too. And sometimes went a little bit under the radar, even though he is 19. I think he's played with more maturity than that.
Yeah, no issue with the back line. I think that's good enough to win the title, incidentally, given the run of form that they've been on. Midfield, of course, Tochi Chubani's come in. We'll bring you an update, incidentally. Blair's just confirmed that Danny Rohl's been asked about Danilo. A lot of you asking in the comments. He says he can't confirm whether he will remain at the club. He says, let's see what happens today. I think the Dutch window closes today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That his move to any... somebody correct me on how you pronounce NEC Nijmegen. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Just go with NEC.
yeah, NEC. So we expect that one to go through. But midfield, Chukwani came in. Thought he did well at the weekend. Joshua, he said it himself, of course. Thought quite honest. Speaks well, as the old saying goes. When Blair asked him a question after the game at Easter Road the other day there, and he said it's going to take him time just to sort of forge relationships in that team. He's looking to contribute in terms of assists and things like that, but he said it's going to take a bit of time for him to get up to speed in this team. But I thought he was decent. I think he's got the physicality to cope with the Scottish game. I think he'll prove to be a shrewd addition to the squad. Connor Barron, I think, has been a miss. Don't think there's any doubt about that. Looking forward to him getting back into contention. Diamandi, I think, has been playing relatively well, and Nico Raskin in there. No issues with that. The sort of forward line we discussed.
I have one issue, Derek. I do have one issue. I do have one issue. I still look at that midfield, and I think this is a byproduct of how Rohl's team is playing. I still look at that midfield and think, who's really passing it forward? And you've got a lot of good players in there. I'm a big fan of Nico Raskin. I'm a big fan of Mohamed Diamandi. And I think he's really come onto a game as of late. Everyone saw the form Connor Barron was in before he was injured. And Chukwani won the ball back well at the weekend and slotted in quite nicely. But I still think in games where Rangers need to control it, that's the issue for the first half for me, Derek. Hibs kind of called Rangers bluff a bit, and Rangers didn't play the ball over the top enough that Mikey Moore would score that offside goal with. But also, I just felt they were lacking someone in possession to really set the tempo and speed it up in the right moments. And so that's that, and that's why I think Mikey Moore should have started, because I think he can do that from a slightly higher position. So that's my one. I'll call it a concern rather than an issue with the deep line midfield area. The interest in Dan Neil earlier in the window. It is a demonstration of the fact that, as we've reported for a long time, that Rangers want that number 6 profile, but they're going to have to get to the end of the season without a real sitter there. And Raskin and Diamandi, Chukwani and Barron, whoever it is of those 4, I think they'll have a very similar partnership with splitting the kind of midfield responsibilities. But then again, if I have to have one more issue, you see the header that Joe Newell has early in the first half. Not to criticise Chukwani too much in his debut, but there was a couple of moments in that first half where I think, because you've got Raskin and Chukwani, you 2 midfielders who both can go forward, at times you lack that little bit of protection in front of the defence in an end-to-end game. So that's my one concern, is can Rangers win the league without that type of profile to give them a little bit more control? Interesting.
We've discussed the sort of forward line that they need to score goals, but the guys behind them, we need more. We talked at great length about Telo Asgard last night. Nadim Bayrami's come back and he's been contributing a little bit. No real noise about him leaving on deadline day. He's still part of the Rangers squad, and I think I quite like Nadim Bayrami. I've got to say, I think he can contribute between now and the end of the season. Skov Olsen needs time. We know that. Oliver Antman, perhaps unfortunate not to feature at the weekend. Need more from Jedi Gassama. There's no two ways about it. Mikey Moore, of course, better from him against Hibs recently, but he said himself he needs to up his performance levels. Those guys are key for me, Joshua. Rangers need those guys to be creating plenty of opportunities for the forward players, and not only that, scoring goals themselves if Rangers are to go and win this title for me.
Yeah, I think what Rohl's got right so far is he's managed games so well from the sideline before and during games, changing the tactical setup, changing the formation, making in-game substitutions. And that's why I think Hibs was one of a kind of rare example of him not doing that, because Moore, I thought, was so bright. And in a game where Rangers had a fair chunk of the ball, And Gassama was playing in the narrow position because Magoma was going wide, because Hibs are playing that back five. So you're trying to stretch the wing back out. So again, it was a product of the game, but I just think Moore would have been better in there. Aside from Skov Olsen, I don't think you're looking at much in the way of guarantees from those other 5 players. And obviously Skov Olsen hasn't done it yet, but theoretically. So I think it's on Rohl to manage that. There's games where, as we discussed in the show last night, Tello Asgard will be useful. There's games where he's going to see too much of the ball and not be useful at the weekend. There's games where I think Nadim Barami, as you say, or times off the bench where he can make an impact. Can you get more out of Oliver Antman? Can you rotate Gassama and Moore to keep them both fresh? But Gassama's got 8 goals, Derek. Can he end the season with 16? Can he double that? I don't see why not if he's playing in that favoured left wing position. The thing I'd highlight is the last 2 months you've got 6 players there. The last 2 months you've really only had 3 of them: Gassama, Moore, and Asgard, because Bayrami's been injured. Skov Olsen hasn't been here. Antman's been injured. So will less games and spreading the load help? It should, in theory. But I agree with you. You're not looking at that yet and thinking there's much in the way of guarantee, and that is on players to provide for Rohl, I think, with the caveat. Sorry for saying that word. That everything we discussed at length last night. I think the way that Rangers play in attack is linked, of course, to how they defend. They're a clean sheet team. They're a set piece team. They're a margins team at the moment. They're not a team with lots of fluid attack and identity in the final third. And I think that's difficult to add without a pre-season. So again, that's why they've signed Skov Olsen, and that's why he's going to take a bit of time to get going. But he also needs to get going sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he does. Just based on that, then, let's say for talking sake, Naderi doesn't get international clearance in time for tomorrow. Who are you starting tomorrow against Kilmarnock? I'll go first. I'm starting. If Tour Romans is fit and ready to feature, I'm starting him tomorrow. Just play him. Although probably likely that he starts against Queen's Park at the weekend. The back line is a back line. Stelling, I know, have played right back at the weekend, but probably have back in there. I'm treating Stelling with kid gloves. Is that the right saying? Baby steps, because you don't need him breaking down again. Raskin, Diomande, Chakwani.
Raskin and Diomande for me tomorrow. I think I'd go that back for Raskin, Diomande. I'd probably go Moore. Who's at Rangers playing Kilmarnock? I'd go Moore.
You've asked that 3 times.
I know. I'm sorry, honestly. I'm sorry. I'd go Moore. Need to not look at my laptop today. I'd go Moore, I'd go Gassama, I'd go Skov Olsen, and I'd go Trimiti. But I think you will see Naderi play these type of games where it's about breaking teams down a little bit, being involved outside the box. But that's probably the 11 I'd go with tomorrow.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll find out tomorrow. At Ibrox, we'll have all your usual pre-match and post-match coverage from the game, folks. Make sure you're tuning in to that. Just a few points before we wrap up that I noticed in the comments. Well, Detective Munch says, a great show last night, guys. Maybe more late-night Rangers review shows. Not in the pipeline, I've got to say. Tomorrow will be pretty late because it's a later kick-off, of course, but not thinking of any. But Pedro gets in touch. He says, when's the wrestling review, Derek? You weren't a fan of the wrestling show last night.
I was so not surprised that you and Johnny watching wrestling, but I'm absolutely not having that, and I hope I've got some allies in the comments and watching wrestling. Nah, come on, man.
Well, Blair has never watched wrestling, which I just find nuts. Yeah, it is younger, of course. I stopped my wrestling viewing in the late 90s, I would say. But that was at the golden era. And I'll have nobody say anything about that to dampen that view. There's a point as well. Marcus, very kind comments. It's coming all the Rangers review on the excellent final day coverage. Outstanding. Thank you, Marcus. That is very kind of you. It was, as I mentioned earlier on, great to bring you the final 2 hours of the window, entertaining as ever. and it's all part down to you guys who are interacting with the show. So thank you for that. Right, that Daniel Rohl press conference.
Derek, could we make one quick? Sorry to interrupt. One quick point. No. People talking about late night show. We are planning a couple of live shows this year. Yes, so keep your eyes peeled for that. The best way to get more Rangers review content is by subscribing to the website. You get the app, you can watch everything in the app, you get all our report and all our content on here, and the best way to get more of it is subscribing on YouTube for free, but also subscribing to the website as well. And I echo your thanks to everyone for watching, so it is not just me and you sitting speaking to one another virtually on a night like last night.
Yeah, David Allen says, "Will there be wrestling? There'll be no wrestling at the live shows."
Not for me.
I'm sorry about that note. You can go to another event if you want some wrestling. But certainly a couple of events to look forward to. That's for sure. So we'll wrap up there for now. As I touched on, Danny Rohl should be with you folks on the YouTube channel at some point in the near future. The transcript, as ever, on the website coming up. Still not found out who's been put up player-wise, or do we know that yet? I'm trying to.
I think it might be Jaden Magoma. I think
Jaden Magoma.
Maybe
it is.
Yeah.
See, GM. Yeah, it is Jaden Magoma. So there you go. None of us picked Jaden Magoma in the sweep. So if you selected Jaden Magoma, then a cyber pint for you folks. Right, enjoy your Tuesday, whatever you are up to. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.